Well, we'll see on Sunday, won't we? Because that was the lowest I've been. I think you all know that and remember that. That was just a capitulation. We had absolutely nothing about us, even though all goals were more or less counter-attacks from set plays and long throw-ins. Everything that you didn't want to see, you saw in that game. That was the day that, the lowest. Well, I knew probably before then, but that was one or two had their the last chance, more or less. But we had to get to the summer first.
Quite a different mood around Manchester United today after they cruised past Club Brugge, beating them 5-0 at Old Trafford.
Yeah, night when Odion Ighalo scored his first goal for the club. In the sun, they've gone with, see what they did here, Ighalo. Lone Star's tribute to tragic sister as he gets off the mark in United romp. He had Old Trafford chanting his name throughout as well, so clearly an instant fan favourite there. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was delighted to see 4 different players on the score sheet last night, but after the game he picked out his new striker and Fred.
As a striker, fellow striker myself, I know how important that first goal is, and he's been close a couple of times. You can see he sniffs goals. He wants to be there where it sometimes hurts, but that goal as well. He's sharp in his head. As that ball is played over to Juan, he spins and is on the 6-yard line when Juan puts it there. That's a natural striker. Well, I'm happy for everyone. I think there's loads of players out there having improved. Scotty is back. I think he's improved. But Fred, I wasn't sure if I was going to be alive the next time he was going to score a goal because he's had so many attempts. But one with his right, one with his left, and it's been an ongoing joke between us, of course. And but he got that goal. I'm very pleased for him.
Let's head to Old Trafford, where Ian Irving is standing by for us. So Solskjaer joking about Fred in his post-match press conference. That really shows off a positive, happy camp, doesn't it, Ian?
Yeah, you can see exactly why everyone is positive and happy in Manchester this morning with this beautiful weather we're being treated to here. But yeah, let's talk about Fred. I mean, there's a saying in the UK about London buses that you wait ages for one and 2 come along at once, and Fred had scored just once in his first 60 appearances for Manchester United and then managed to get 2 in the final 8 minutes of the match against Club Brugge here in the Europa League on Thursday night. The feel-good factor added to by that first goal from Odion Ighalo, the English newspapers referring to him at the moment as a lone star rather than a lone flop, which many suggested he would be here at Old Trafford. He's made a decent start to his Manchester United career, but overall United are in their best form so far this season. They're on their longest unbeaten run, which is 7 matches in all competitions. They've won 5 of those games, drawn 2 of them and kept 6 clean sheets during those 7 matches. They've conceded just 1 goal, which was in the first leg against Club Brugge in this last 32 tie. But we need to talk about Bruno Fernandes because once again he was Manchester United's standout performer here at Old Trafford. He added to his first Manchester United goal, which he scored at the weekend against Watford in the Premier League from the penalty spot, with yet another penalty. And the impressive thing about the one last night was he had to wait around 5 minutes to take the penalty while a VAR check was taking place. He was more or less stood over the ball for those 5 minutes as well, but didn't lose his focus, was the calmest man around this place and just casually walked up to the ball, did his little skip that he does, and then sent Simon Mignolet in the Club Brugge the wrong way for that penalty. And he's certainly rejuvenated this Manchester United team in the space of just a few weeks, really.
Absolutely, yeah, those Manchester United fans are loving having Bruno Fernandes in their midfield. They're loving having Anthony Martial in the team, but he might not play against Everton, which would be a big blow given the form he's been in.
Yeah, this is one piece of bad news, really, for Manchester United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer referred to it after the game last night. He said that Anthony Martial had pulled up in training earlier on Thursday. He said that it was a thigh or a knee problem. He wasn't exact what the issue was. There'd been a lot of reports about it being a hamstring problem for Anthony Martial, but Solskjaer said that's not the case, and Martial will face a test on Friday to determine the exact extent of this problem. But obviously that makes him a major doubt for the game at Goodison Park on Sunday against Everton. But Who cares? He'll just pick Odion Ighalo and he'll do what he did last night. He'll score a goal for Manchester United because the fans here absolutely love him. From the first moment he stepped out here on the pitch in the Premier League at the weekend, the fans in the Stretford End behind me were singing his name because he's made it no secret at all. He's absolutely delighted to be here. He's a boyhood Manchester United fan, a lifelong Manchester United fan, and there was a lot of smiling faces around this place last night to see him get his first United goal as well.
So they lost to Everton last season 4-0. They've got that big game coming up as well. How do you see that one going in?
Yeah, it's definitely an important game for Manchester United, no doubt about it at all. Take a look at the Premier League table. You can see that United are just 3 points now outside the top four, desperate to keep the feel-good factor and the momentum going around this place, considering their results in the last few weeks. And going to Everton as well, you need to remember that Everton are in the bottom half of the Premier League table on 11 points, and Manchester United are still only 5 points ahead of them. So things can change very quickly. And as well, there's very bad memories from Goodison Park last season. It was a disastrous day for Manchester United back in April, a 4-0 defeat on Merseyside. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer crossing all his fingers, hoping that the result this weekend is different, and he also was under no illusions as to how bad that day was at Goodison Park when he spoke last night after the game.
Well, we'll see on Sunday, won't we? Because that was the lowest I've been. I think you all know that and remember that. That was just a capitulation. We had absolutely nothing about us, even though all goals were more or less counter-attacks from set plays and long throw-ins. Everything that we didn't want to see, you saw in that game. That was the day that, well, I mean, the lowest. Well, I knew probably before then, but that was one or two had their the last chance, more or less, but we had to get to the summer first. I can, with hand on heart, 100% say these boys will never give in, never give up like that team did. These players are not. These are the boys we want to build the next team round. Against an Everton at home, they're hard to play against. You know, with the two up front, with the strikers, they put players in the box, so we knew what we were up against. So I'm 100% sure we'll put a better performance up.
Yeah, so Ian, 100% sure we're putting a better performance. It was an awful day for United at Goodison Park, wasn't it? And he alludes there, doesn't he, to one or two people leaving, which they have done, but it's, apart from that, a very similar team.
Yeah, it is just one or two players. If we take a look at the team that started at Goodison Park in April last season in the Premier League, you can see that there's a lot of names still here at Manchester United. The only two, actually, who have left from that starting lineup, you can see the number 12, Chris Smalling, who spent this season on loan at Roma, and, of course, a high-profile departure towards the bottom of that list in Romelu Lukaku. Only really Paul Pogba and Phil Jones, maybe Diogo Dalot as well, out of those players who haven't really played that much in recent weeks, and indeed in this Premier League season for Manchester United. So it's not been massive changes from that team last season, and it really is a bit of an indictment, to be fair, on Romelu Lukaku. Solskjaer was asked a follow-up question about whether that was the game that he decided that Lukaku wasn't fit to play here at Manchester United and he wanted to sell him. He wouldn't go into specifics, he wouldn't talk about particular players, but when there's only one or two players who have left the team, then really you have to end up looking into exactly who those characters are and thinking that Solskjaer is referring to them as well. Paul Pogba, of course, has barely played this season for Manchester United, so maybe you could label some of the criticism that Ole brought out after the game here last night on him as well. After that game at Goodison Park, I think that's the most frank I've ever heard Ole Gunnar Solskjaer be. He said in his tunnel interview that he will be a success at Manchester United, but some of these players will not be here on the journey with him for much longer. Of course, they needed to get through to the summer to make those changes, and you have to say that so far some of the signings that they've made have been extremely successful. We talked about Manchester United's clean sheet record in the past 7 games, 6 clean sheets during that time. Well, actually, overall for Manchester United, only Paris Saint-Germain in Europe's major leagues have kept more clean sheets in all competitions this season, and that points really to the success of Harry Maguire and Aaron Wan-Bissaka joining that Manchester United defence. But a big game this weekend at Goodison Park, and a point to prove for Manchester United, and Solskjaer certainly putting his players under a little bit of pressure by saying they won't capitulate and it will 100% be better than last season. So anything better than a 3-0 defeat I think is okay.
They can feel positive. Thank you, Ian. Well, still plenty more to come on the programme.
Yeah, we're